Comedy is dark
And beautiful.
and freeing
And redemptive.
and not at all well understood. My name is Oliver,
My name's Mayhem.
and this is all about how comedy works.
The soul of comedy.
I am going to try and convince you when people try and create comedy, thinking that it is incongruity, benign violations, or subverted expectations, or superiority, they are causing themselves a world of trouble.
Ooh,
So-
controversy.
Can we just begin with what you believe comedy is? Or some words associated with it?
Words associated with comedy. Surprise, expectation, subversion, challenge, conflict, tragedy, the absurd, disorder.
Alright, so if I ask anyone what they think comedy is, they're going to say it's subverting expectations, and it's surprising, and it's wrong. It's completely and utterly wrong.
Wrong.
It's wrong.
How's it wrong?
Alright, so the best way I can actually answer that question is describe very clearly the thing that's happening behind it, and then why all of these other ways of thinking about comedy are wrong will fall into place. So, behind everything that makes you laugh, there's someone who's done something wrong. They've made a mistake in their thinking, they've screwed up, they've shown some form of arrogance or stupidity or mistaken assumptions or obsession. There's also things that's like really like stuff that's obvious: carelessness, rudeness, disregard for one's own well-being, disregard for other people's well-being. There's irresponsibility, there's awkward sexual deviances, there's megalomania, like all the moral weaknesses, all the things that we know we shouldn't do but we just can't help. All of these things that can go wrong: ideological blindness, flawed decision making, like not understanding like basic logical processes, not being able to predict what's going to happen in like really predictable situations.
Do the flaws just create conflict? What defines it as a flaw?
All right, so it is all dependent on the context that someone's in.
Okay, so when there is conflict or disorder in the subject's relationship and the environment they're engaging with.
So if someone walks into into a room and they make a mistake, the world's gonna tell them in some way. And the way that the world's gonna tell them is they're gonna provide a consequence. And that, it could be social embarrassment. It could be an aim that wasn't met. It could be other people's disapproval. It could just be making an ass of oneself. It could be a lot of different things that go wrong because the world's telling you that you're thinking wrong. So there's got to be a certain amount of clashing or disharmony or dissonance in the situation. But the second that we laugh is the second that we recognize the underlying thinking, not just look at the chaos. Because there's chaos everywhere in life. But it's not funny because we haven't seen the flaw and it hasn't been implied. And maybe there hasn't been comic distance.
Comic distance. What defines comic distance?
So comic distance, there's nothing in the comedy that disgusts you or angers you.
Oh, like emotional distance.
Yes, it's emotional distance.
You can't hit too close to home, otherwise your bias will cloud your understanding of the joke.
Yes, yeah, exactly. There's implication, so it's got to be indirect, through a story or through metaphor, analogy, or a bunch of other techniques.
Yep.
All right, so if we have a look at, say, Eric Cartman from South Park, we see psychopathy. Or if we have a look at Dylan Moran from Black Books, we see like grumpiness and cynicism and like a lack of will to live. If we have a look at any of the characters from The Hangover, they've created lives for themselves that are so psychologically painful that it's gonna come out recklessly at any opportunity. If we have a look at like any odd character, like Dr. Evil from Austin Powers, right? Like he's funny because he takes so much pride in being evil. If we have a look at Jack from Pirates of the Caribbean, we see someone who is just so untrustworthy that even though we adore him, you know, we can't function with him. Melissa McCarthy, like in any role, like say from Spy or from Heat, like volatility and anger, and just you don't know what is going to happen, and you don't know what she's going to do, and even if she tries to behave well, you know that she just can't. There's this spark in her that is going off right next to a grenade. Like
the interesting thing that she kept doing in her role in Spy was she destroyed the format of a spy movie because her character, you know, she had all of these flaws and that was the mistake and that was driving the comedy. An interesting thing was the consequence was that she wasn't punished for it. She infected every other character and event. Her tone was carried on to them. And that became funnier because instead of these people saying, "What are you doing? You have no idea how to be a spy," they said, "Oh, maybe we have no idea. We should take notes."
Do you remember the aeroplane scene in Spy?
Not well.
So Melissa McCarthy's foil in that film was I forget the character's name, but in a high posh London accent, an evil but incredibly intelligent and incredibly well put together.
The perfect successful spy.
Yes, the perfect successful spy, or even mastermind. And some of the scenes, the plane scene where basically everything goes wrong for this poor character who is horrible, but nonetheless is trying so hard to be efficiently evil. And the chaos that Melissa McCarthy brings into the scene infects everyone. Like, the reason why so many films have comic foils is that if you're going to recognize a psychological flaw is happening, you've got to recognize what incorrect thinking is, but also that somewhere there's correct thinking. That
You need the contrast.
You need the contrast. And I go further and say behind literally anything that we laugh at, and I'll bring up a few examples. Subtly, there's two strands of thinking becoming apparent. The correct way of thinking and the incorrect way of thinking. And together they make flawed thinking. Because there's lots of bastardry thinking that works just fine. Right? You can be a complete prick, and if everything goes your way, there's no humor, you're just a successful evil character. But if things go wrong and you're a bastard and the world tells you're a bastard and you fail at your plan, it becomes incorrect thinking.
Yeah, that's why BoJack is funny.
That's why BoJack. So this depressed yet simultaneously hopeful, almost always deluded except for brief moments of sobriety where he reviews his life.
Yes, he is the contrast.
He is the contrast.
There's dualism within him that makes his character interesting and comedic, because if he was just a bad person all the time and he enjoyed that, there would be nothing there. But it's the fact that he is always trying to act on his better instincts and failing miserably because of his insecurity, his fear of connecting with other people, the trauma that creates obstacles, and his attempt to care for and be cared for by other people. And those are constantly fighting against each other, and that's why it's so funny.
One part of that I find really interesting is that really well-developed characters you begin to care about and see from their perspective. So as soon as we know really what he wants and what he values, we can work out where he goes wrong in his life. But sometimes people can't or don't connect to a character, and they work out from their own perspective what's correct and incorrect thinking. So, a lot of the time, we're going to bring our own values into a comic situation and work out for ourselves, from our perspective, what someone's done wrong. But the really great comedy, and I think Rick and Morty is another example, you actually begin to take the perspective of the people that you really like, and you see their thinking. You see the world and what's correct and incorrect from their perspective. So this issue of perspective is really important, because when you analyze comedy, you have to decide what's right and wrong, and it's either from your perspective or it's from a comic character's perspective.
Are you saying that the right and wrong ideas are subjective within the media rather than subjective to the viewer?
So when I say subjective, what I mean is that I might have a different idea of incorrect thinking to you. Therefore, I'm going to find things funny that you don't. So it's subjective in the sense that because we have different ideas and values and background knowledge, different associations, different emotional responses, we will subjectively look at the world differently. So comedy is subjective in the sense that in order to understand comedy, we have to understand what's happening in the person's mind who's viewing it. There's nothing funny in the world. It all just happens in a person's mind when they subjectively, from their own perspective, or if they empathize, they work out that someone's made a mistake in their thinking. And this mistake in their thinking is going to bring out a lot of things that have been described as comedy but aren't really. So when someone makes a mistake in their thinking, or they're responding to the chaos in the world that they create, it's going to create a lot of incongruity. Like, it's going to create a lot of violated expectations or subverted expectations. It's going to create maybe feeling superior to the person. It's basically going to create all of the things that we've mistaken comedy being.
I think they're symptomatic, but they're not the cause.
Yes, that's exactly it. We've mistaken effect for cause. The cause of comedy is seeing flaws in someone, and it can be ourselves, but seeing flaws in someone through implication and with comic distance. And then the functioning of those three things together create an outer shell that looks like subverted expectations, incongruity, disaster, pain. It can be truthful, because it is essentially saying something about someone's nature, even though it could be a ridiculous situation. There's something true about someone being said. So it's created this shell of effect that people look at and they say that's comedy. And when you're trying to create comedy, when you're like wanting to make someone laugh, and you are trying to create incongruity, or you're trying to violate expectations, you're doing the wrong thing. From the perspective of like a young kid who goes to the literature trying to be better at comedy, it's a disaster because they're just sent in the wrong bloody direction. It's like, yeah, it's like being told, oh God, what's a good analogy? Love is marriage. Yeah, like, no, marriage it can be an effective love, but if you go trying to find love by marrying someone, it might not work out. All right, let's move on to some examples.
Yeah, I actually want to bring up an example.
Yes. Oh God, yes, please.
Because there was this joke I saw a couple days ago from an animated children's TV show. Mm-hmm. It's called The Wonderfully Weird World of Gumball. Maybe you've heard of it. Yeah.
I haven't.
It's 2D animated. Its target demo is children. But I think kids media is actually a really great way to showcase good jokes, because a lot of effective kids media is to explain things to young people who are trying to find their way in the world and understand good concepts, but it's also made with the understanding that their parents and the people who are important in their lives are likely going to watch it as well.
Yeah, be dragged in, yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of kids media positions their jokes to have layered meanings that are still poignant and relevant to the adults around in the vicinity when those shows are on. And Gumball is a good example of that. The joke I'm thinking of, we have one character, and they're reacting to a disaster. So there's already a character flaw there, because they're using escapism rather than confrontation of their problems. Layered on top of that, we have another flaw, which is that they decide they're going to move to Mexico and get plastic surgery rather than deal with their issues. And they have a photo that they've photoshopped. This is a 2D cartoon. They've got a live action photo of like a Chad looking man that's been photoshopped even more to look almost inhuman. And they say, I know exactly what I want my plastic surgeon to make me look like. And they whip out this photo and they say, it's this. And their friend looks at them. This unbelievable response to a solvable problem. And they say, that is so weird, man. And then they pull out the exact same photoshopped image and they say, that's what I was thinking too!
Oh, no, okay.
So
that's
we
good.
have 3 examples of character flaw there. We've got the initial problem of this could be solvable, but instead I'm taking the worst approach, the escapism, the inability to face the problem.
Yeah.
We've got the desire to change yourself with plastic surgery into the most jarring, uncomfortable image of a human being, of a creature.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
And it's not going to help. It's not going to help their life.
It's not going to help at all. It'll make everything harder. I mean, with a chin like that, you're not going to be able to chew for more than 4 years. And then you expect the next character to respond with, that's a terrible idea. But the really interesting final flaw there is that these characters are flawed in the exact same way. And they bond over it in an uncannily similar way.
Yes. A lot of comedy is about society. So the fact that there are 2 characters who are thinking the same thing, that have the same flawed image of who they should be, is saying something more than just about the individual. So these subtle ways of mocking society come in there. And there's a really good joke that reminds me of, that I'll try and find actually, because it's basically like the same idea, and it's a Dan Guterman joke.
I just think your explanation is really interesting of the structure, the problem, the illusion, and then the comic distance, because I thought that joke was funny because it was subverting expectations. It takes these 3 big beats of subverting your expectations, but the only reason it subverts my expectations, the only reason that's funny, now that you've brought that to my attention, is because it's not about these characters doing something unpredictable. It's about their unpredictable actions telling me about the underlying disorder in their relationships. And I can only understand that that's funny because of the comic distance, that I would never get plastic surgery to look like an alpha Chad made in Photoshop.
Yeah. Can I just read you stuff? And then, if you laugh, we'll talk about it. Alright, so, just told the guy talking on his phone in the library to shut the fuck up. And everyone applauded me, so I told them to shut the fuck up too.
Oh, Primavera.
Funny?
Yeah.
It's about grumpiness. And so you've got this guy who most people would respond to people clapping at them by being like, oh, thank you, I appreciate it. Not this guy. This guy is so bitter. He's gonna tell everyone to shut the fuck up.
Absolutely.
But
he's not there to do a good thing.
No, yeah, not there to do a good thing.
It just happens to coincide with what other people thought was a good thing.
Yes, that
and
is
he doesn't
exactly
think their acknowledgement is a good thing either.
Yeah, he doesn't care. But I understand, because the people who clapped missed the point. The guy wanted some silence.
He's an anti-hero.
Yeah. So you've got these people who clapped, who shouldn't have clapped. And so it's actually their mistake, and this guy's just being like, fucking idiots. But also shows his grumpiness. Ellen Orchard said in one of her specials, I've been divorced for 7 years now. Each year I celebrate the anniversary of my divorce by watching my wedding video backwards. It's very therapeutic. First, you see the bouquet flying into my hands. We take the rings off, we look at each other and say, do I? And walk back up the aisle. Alright, so give me a guess to why you might find that funny.
I find that funny for the same reasons that I find a fantastic joke about the struggle to create relatable comedy in a show called Hacks. It's made by HBO. It's very good. It's about a flawed relationship between 2 comedians. And she tells this joke, and the issue is it's not really landing. She's losing her audience, and she's running out of fresh material because she's gotten more and more stereotypical and less intimate about her actual experiences. And she says, you know, I like a lovely Saturday night just like anyone else. I sit down, I get a glass of wine, and I like to watch a porno. But the trick is you watch it backwards. because then it's about being rewarded for sex with a pizza.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing there in the joke itself and in this joke is there is a horror in society of creating connections, and this connection was clearly doomed. It didn't work out, and now, the flaw is that this person is attempting to deal with this in a way that is romanticizing the dysfunction. They're almost fetishizing the failure.
Yes.
And there's comic distance there because you are positioned to recoil. You're not supposed to engage with that. That's supposed to be a cautionary tale.
Yes.
You're supposed to look back at that and say, even if I've had a failed marriage, I certainly don't do that once a year. But I would like to. It's relatable because everyone's had a tryst. Everyone's had a failed relationship.
Yes.
Just usually not one that is so severe and long term.
Thank you so much for saying that word relatable. Every time I talk to anyone about comedy, they're gonna say things are funny because they're relatable.
Yeah, I think relatable is imprecise.
Yes.
They're talking about understandable.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Completely. So, let's talk about the jokes that you and I just mentioned. So, you've got someone who's made a mistake in their life, and they're looking back on the mistake with some amount of like horror and confusion and damage. You like it takes a certain amount of like acknowledging that you've made a mistake to actively think back on it.
You're enshrining it with behavior.
Yeah. So it's all consequence. So behind every cognitive mistake anyone makes, any mistake in thinking, there's got to be a consequence. So
and that consequence is part of the illusion in this joke. They're alluding to the fact that these people have lasting damage emotionally.
Yes.
And they don't know how to deal with it.
Yes. And so you've got relatability in the sense that you understand what's happening and what the feelings of the character are, and you can imagine yourself in that situation because we've all failed in love in some respect. So it's all relatable. It's every comic piece is relatable, but again, it's a side effect. It's like the thing that went wrong in their life that we're laughing at is failed relationship, unhealthy obsession afterward, maybe even just laughing at the world that created it a little bit. And it's relatable, but the relatability didn't cause anything. It might have helped you recognize that there was something in the comedy to laugh at. It may have helped you find the psychological flaw. It may have helped you connect with the consequence and like care just a little bit more. But if someone says things are funny because they're relatable, they've got the logic twisted around.
It's easier to understand that they're funny if they're relatable.
Yes. So, yes. And yes. More jokes. David Tell. I went to a sex store and I was drunk. Never do that. I took one of those strap-on dildos, I put it on my head and started chasing people like a rhino. Oh God. Oh my God. Everyone was laughing except for that guy in the kilt. I don't know what happened, but I'm sorry.
Oh! Yes!
Wait, okay. Did you find it funny?
I did find it funny. I think it could have more subtlety.
Yeah. I will say one thing and you can tell me if you agree or disagree. So the whole thing is a consequence. It's all a disaster. And it's just, the flaw would be irresponsibility. Just someone, people get drunk and they just like make an ass of themselves. That characteristic, that one.
I do agree. I agree that it's consequences as well. I think there are separate consequences that play into each other, like snowballing.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So there's so many things going wrong. Alright, let's mainline some more. This is from The Sopranos. And I think it was said by Soprano Jr. Right. Some people are so far behind in the race that they think they're leading.
Ooh, that's good.
Have you been in a situation where you've met someone and they lack perspective to the extent that they think they're doing well? Like a bad date?
Yes.
And they're not.
Yes, I lived with someone who would do singing lessons 3 times a week, several hours each time. And it was very apparent that they were tone deaf. And while they could become an excellent singer with the time and dedication and the hours and the application of theory, they hadn't yet. But everyone around them thought that it would crush them emotionally to receive that information. They thought they would just give up. So no one told them. Everyone close to them, the closest people, their family, their friends, their loved ones, they refused to allow anyone to give them constructive criticism because they were terrified it would crush them and they wouldn't recover.
Oof. Yes.
It was hard. It was hard to watch, and it was harder to listen to.
Would you, after just observing this person, if someone whispered that in your ear, would you laugh?
Someone whispered, "Some people are behind in the race."
Yeah. So if you were looking at them and then someone whispered that, you'd be...
Yes. I would laugh because it would be made increasingly funny by the flaw in the person delivering that joke, because they know we're not allowed to say that. The people close to them would be furious. The consequences on that person's self-esteem, their dedication to their art form could be disastrous. And that's why it's funny.
So you've raised like a super obvious point that I should have mentioned earlier. Multiple flaws in any joke. Because there's all these different characters. There's not only the person that you're looking at. There's the observer, or like the narrator, or the storyteller, or whatever. Like there's like lots of different characters, and a lot of comedy works by just everyone getting it wrong. They just all get it wrong.
Yeah.
And the more people you get in,
exist in isolation. Jokes aren't told in a vacuum. They're told by people to people.
Yes. Let's move on to F. Scott Fitzgerald. First you take a drink, then the drink takes a drink, then the drink takes you. Good?
It's funny, but it's more a dark observation.
Oh, it is. Do you know any alcoholics?
Of course. Come from a wide, long line of alcoholics.
So, if I laughed at it, and I didn't laugh at alcoholism. What I did laugh at was the foolishness of beginning down a road that you can't control anymore. So, and it's a lot of comedy, like, things, because it has to be mistaken thinking, if someone has no control over it, it's not a mistaken thinking anymore, because they never had a choice.
Yes.
However, someone had a choice in choosing to go down a road.
I agree with you there. I think the core, like the heart of that joke, is the awareness of a terrible decision and then the continued choice to embark upon the terrible decision. You know that the drink is destroying you, and you take a drink.
In a lot of comedy, you will notice things are phrased around choices. Like, and this one, you take a drink, then the drink takes a drink, and you've lost control, and but you can still do something, but then finally the drink takes you. You've been hit with the consequence, and it's too late. What's left? What's left that's making the decisions? Is it you anymore? I know enough of myself to laugh at myself in that joke too. So it's about loss of letting yourself lose agency. It's about the fallibility of humans and drugs. And it's about not stopping yourself from being transformed into something you despise.
I think those are all there. I think it's just about choosing to lose control, even though you know that there is nothing that will aid you as a result of doing so. It's cliff jumping with a frayed bungee cord.
I have another parachute joke in here, by the way.
Oh.
But yeah, we'll move on. No police report can truly capture my love of drink driving.
Ooh, nice. Yeah.
Would you agree if I said something like, the type of person who sees a penalty as a reward just doesn't care. He's just in his own world where his own values are so against society's, and he just doesn't see the consequences of his own actions. Like, it's like someone framing like that, like a crime. The point is that society said they were going very fast, and they like that.
Sure.
Like, yeah.
It's a flaw because a system that serves to discourage them does the opposite.
Yes.
You can argue the flaws in the system or in the person, or both.
Yes. I love to shop after a bad relationship. I buy a new outfit and it makes me feel better. Sometimes when I see a really great outfit, I'll break up with someone on purpose.
Yes! Yes!
Wait, do you know this one?
I don't know that one, but it's exactly like one of my favorite jokes. It's people like to pretend it's a gauge for psychopathy. It's not. It's just a good joke. So there's this woman, and she goes to the funeral of let's say her aunt, and she meets this guy there, and she really likes this guy. They get to talking. They have a lovely conversation, but she didn't get his number. She doesn't know how to contact him again. How does she find him?
She murders someone else, so they have to meet
At
another funeral. Oh, so dark.
And it's the same core principle of the joke. It's the reversal of causality because of incorrect association and appraisal of causality.
Okay, yes.
The breakup gets the outfit, and so you decide, oh, I want the outfit, which is an end result that you can achieve on its own.
Yes.
But instead, you see that as, oh, better incite another breakup so I can get another outfit.
Yeah.
I could try and track this guy down. There are lots of other people at that funeral. But he came because of the funeral, so surely he'll come to another one.
Yeah, it's just like the psychopathy in that character is the very core of the joke. And the incongruity and like the oddness and the strangeness is like surface level. Alright, here is a tweet that I found a while back. I told the doctor I was overtired, anxiety-ridden, compulsively active, constantly depressed, with recurring fits of paranoia. Turns out I'm normal.
Ah, that's fun. Yeah. It's about the state of the world and the effect society has on how people function psychologically today. He's saying, doctor, everything's wrong with me. And they're like, don't worry. It's wrong with everyone else too.
Yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah.
And they're using the phrase normal to position it as a good thing.
Yes.
Saying nothing's wrong. But actually, it's not nothing's wrong, it's everything's wrong with everyone. Therefore, we're not seeing it as an issue.
Yeah. It's dark, isn't it? But it's the funny part is that we can't accept it and we know it at the same time.
To accept it as death? Camus thinks we need to live in revolt constantly. He designed a name for that sensation. It's called the absurd.
You've hit my favorite type of humor, which is something I call existential humor. So all the other types of humor are about someone making a mistake. Because they were arrogant, they were overconfident, they didn't understand the situation, they didn't have logic. They
have a good example for this.
Yes.
It's a conversation I had today. I was talking to a friend about how they spent 60 hours looking for an item in RuneScape. 60 hours!
60 hours.
60 hours for one digital construct. And I said, you know, you've lived a rich and valuable life. On your deathbed, you're going to look back on the time you spent on RuneScape and you're going to think, wish I spent more time at my computer.
But so that's the core of comedy. It's just like the dumb things that we do. That we know this. She knows this. Everyone knows this. Like, this isn't life.
It's absurd to spend your time doing almost anything when you know you're going to die at the end.
Knowing that, how do we function? So I argue somewhere in the book that there's this whole category of humor that isn't funny because someone's made a mistake. Because we can't function in such a way that we escape the heat death of the universe. We can't function in such a way that we can escape what society has made us. We can't escape that we're going to die. We can't escape that we're just like funny monkeys walking around. No one's done anything wrong in the way that they think. But there's an emotional dysregulation that someone should try and avoid, which is thinking about these things. Like the slow motion shell shock that comes from really thinking about the universe and the world. That's funny. Because someone hasn't properly insulated themselves from they haven't properly deluded themselves
That's why the
about the
midlife
nature of the
crisis
universe.
is so funny.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
buy a sports car, you sit in a tuxedo, you cry that you're gonna die.
Later on, I will go to a couple of jokes that I love and I hope you like, because they will destroy you.
Oh, fantastic. I've been
So-
destroyed by many jokes. Call them my exes.
Okay, so the next thing that I write about is implication. Everything we laugh at, it has to be implied. If it's said straight, if we don't have to work it out, it's not funny.
Okay.
Implication just means that what you've laughed at has communicated its meaning indirectly, or the meaning has been hidden, or it's taken you a few steps of logic to work out what's gone wrong. One way to think about this is that every comic piece has a surface level and a deeper level. So the surface level could be a story, or it could be a joke, it could be a metaphor, it could be a misdirection, it could be all sorts of things, as long as that surface level leads you to realize a deeper psychological level. When you look across like hundreds of examples of comedy, you're going to notice categories appearing. So I basically made a list, and that is ambiguity, reinterpretation, reference, metaphor, logic, pattern making, problem solving, combining narratives, and satire. That is as well as story. So story is just when you observe a character in their world and something happens, and you work out yourself that some character has a flaw, like a psychological flaw.
Yeah.
All the examples that we've talked about so far have been stories. And given this is a short conversation, let's just talk about logic and irony. And if people are interested, they can look at the book or Patreon. Logic and problem solving.
I do like logic and problem solving, like it quite a lot.
You indirectly work out, through inference of some sort, that someone's made a logical mistake, or they've messed up their thinking in some way.
Sure.
Alright, so, you're offered 50,000, but if you accept it, the person you hate most in the entire world gets 100,000. Are you taking it?
Okay.
Yes. Why wouldn't I want $150,000?
There it is. Yes, I've seen that one before.
So I laughed just because it implies, through a logical process, that he hates himself. Here's a tweet. Erica Doom, which I think is basically a stage name. Uh-oh. Worst person you know learned therapy words.
Uh-oh. Oh boy. We've all been through that one. I think the funniest part of this one is that the implication, the logical deduction you're forced to make to understand the comedy there, is that the worst person you know does inherently shitty things. Constantly. And now they have words from a nomenclature designed to help people not do shitty things. But because they're the worst person you know, they're probably just going to use those words to better justify the fact that they're doing shitty things.
Yes!
Yeah.
It's, you have to sit by with someone who seeks bullshit credibility, who plays false victim, blames everyone else. Like, it's a disaster, but they know the language. They know the language to make it seem okay, and they've done a good job of being a bastard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a friend, mutual friend, with another woman I'm close to, and me and this woman don't want to tell our mutual friend about basic chemistry, because that mutual friend will then definitely attempt to filter drugs out of their piss and consume them again.
Oh no!
You know, it's destructive choices that, when given positive tools to accomplish good things, will be used in more destructive ways.
Yeah, you get award for best joke of the conversation. All right. Somehow we ended up here.
So we've got a Venn diagram. We've got the
Apocalypse.
apocalypse on the left. We've got having to go to work on the right. And we are pointing to here as the intersection of the two.
Which is where we are.
Which is where we are.
Funny?
Yes, I think so.
Alright, so...
I think the diagram is the funniest part. You didn't need to explain this in a visual way, but in creating a diagram, you're putting it as a more technical thing than it actually is, and also it's so specific. There's the contrast of the phrasing apocalypse.
So it's in the section where I've got to talk about logic.
Yes.
You are logically deducing something. So we've got a Venn diagram. So what does it logically imply? If we are here, are we working toward apocalypse? Why aren't we at just anywhere that's not the circle that's apocalypse? Like, how do we structure society such that we arrived in anywhere in that circle? I think this was like his initial, like what he meant to say was that if there is an apocalypse, for the love of God, could it just be such that we didn't also have to go to work?
Yeah, when you imagine apocalypse, you imagine upheaval of the societal structures, the very normative ones, such as going to work, and presenting these as different concepts, completely separate sectors in a visual diagram, serves to further illuminate how ridiculous it is that these very opposed things, opposed tonally, opposed in color, what is blue, what is red, opposed conceptually, are actually inextricably linked.
Yes.
And that's why there's an overlap.
Yes. So when I look at this, it's all just logical processes that leads us to these beautifully dark conclusions.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's going to be saved because of this. I suspect not. You know, comedy's not going to save the world, but...
People need
funny.
motivation.
To go to work during an apocalypse?
To keep the apocalypse going so other people will go to work.
All right. Yeah. My past girlfriends told me I had an intimacy problem, but they didn't really know me.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. But why is it good?
Because it reminds me of you.
Thank
It's relatable, yeah.
Thank you. All right, so...
It's good because they have addressed the problem in the initial phrase. My past girlfriends tell me I have an intimacy problem. And then they, in attempting to obfuscate the fact that there is a problem or deny it outright, they double down on the fact that it's a problem.
Yes. There's something in the logical inconsistency. Like, the guy hasn't seen the effect of his words on his life or what he said. Like, it's this beautiful blindness. Like, beautiful lack of awareness.
Yeah,
beautiful
the
not seeing the
doubling
point.
down. It really
yeah,
sells
doubling.
it.
Beautiful doubling down. Let's talk about irony and satire.
Yes.
So why don't you tell me what you think the definition of irony is?
It's your favorite. It's your favorite. Subverting expectations.
All right, so...
Irony is a destitute man living under a bridge named Rich. Dramatic irony.
Okay, so it makes me so angry that the world thinks irony is anything except this. Right, there's an internal inconsistency or instability or self-defeat at the center. It takes a position or a perspective or an argument that slowly undermines itself. There's some dysfunction, foolishness, or complicity in the piece. So its own nature or functioning leads the audience to recognize it's ridiculous or misses the point or damns the author or society instead of whatever the article is ostensibly about. You would have heard Jon Stewart's Religion, giving people hope in a world torn apart by religion.
Yep, that's good. That's like the one earlier. They just didn't really know me.
Yep. Would you agree that there's I'd say there's a vicious cycle in there somewhere, and it's not fun. And yeah, okay. That's all I want to say about it. Fuck it.
Yeah, satire seems, in your examples, to be about pointing at a problem and saying, that's working well, isn't it? And then it's on the audience to say, wait, no, it's not.
yeah.
Really not.
That is exactly right. All right.
Comic piece will, after a little reflection, seem like it has a professed purpose, a real or intended purpose, a background or genuine. These pieces will appear as misdirection or derailment.
Yes. Yes. I want to say something about that. Okay, misdirection and the surprise that an audience feels is part of... half the time it's part of the outer shell, like the linguistic form, has tricked you into reassessing your assumptions and reinterpreting a piece or seeing another narrative or something. And half the time something is surprising or misdirects you because you expect that a comic character will follow some logical, reasonable way of behaving that they don't.
It does make sense. I think it would be a lot clearer if you gave an example.
Right. CIA realizes it's been using black highlighters all these years.
Yes, heard that one. Very good.
If I had to say why it's not surprise or misdirection. So, it's definitely not the case. So,
because it's undermining intention.
Okay, well, actually, yeah. Look, that's a better road to follow. So, okay, I would argue that there's some internal instability that is at the core of this joke that's funny. Which is that it's proposing a situation or a world that's ridiculous, that obviously doesn't exist. And you see that, and then you come to a conclusion. So, CIA realizes it's been using black highlighters. They're not doing that. They're doing that because they are doing some shady stuff, and they are hiding it. But you've got some overly hopeful headline writer who has written something ridiculous, and the surprise that an audience feels is part of the outer shell, the linguistic form. It's mocked.
Exactly.
Okay, I found it. Alright, so this is by Dan Goodman, who I think might be the best comedy writer in the world. He's amazing. I don't need drugs to have a good time. I need them to focus, avoid depression, endure spring, fall asleep, and maintain an erection. So, it's one of these strange things where, okay, yes, there's a lot of things that have gone wrong, right? Like, there's, like, all of those individual things are sort of funny. But the second condition of comedy has to be implied. There's something else that has to be happening in the background of the joke. Someone or some aspect of society has to have gone wrong.
And the aspect here is that as a person, you can't have a good time unless you can function, and the drugs enable him to function.
I have not eloquently made my point, which is that because there has to be something implied in this joke, it has to be something in the background. And I think the thing in the background is that here is an individual with so many things going wrong that it's actually not about him anymore. It's actually about all of the background knowledge we have about how society works or doesn't work. Like, what happens to make someone depressed, ADHD, unable to smell grass? So, like, in the background of the joke, there's this sort of understanding that maybe society's not great for us. So, I suppose I just wanted to raise that because of 2 points. Society is often the butt of the joke, somewhere in the background, and it can't be what's obvious.
Sure, I mean, it makes sense.
And one extra thing I'd like to say about implication is just that a lot of the things that people have mistaken for comedy, incongruity, violated expectations, etc., not only come from from psychological flaws, but they come from the way that things are implied. All right, so
Do you have an outro?
no. Do you think we need an outro?
I think it would be good. It doesn't have to be long.
All right.
Thank you for listening this far, if you've taken the time. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
If you're
Hope
on,
this has taught
yeah.
you something. If you disagree with this, feel free to tell me about it. I always want to learn more about comedy.
No. If you're on the way to get the shotgun, I want you to turn around, because this is over.
No,
No, I can't. I can't say that.
don't say that.
All right.
If this hasn't changed your mind about what makes a joke funny, I hope it's made you
Yeah.
think.
Okay.
a
You know
bit.
what? That's the note that I made. How's it going to solve this? Great. All right.
Thank you for bearing with me.
Yeah, that's basically. I just like. Can I have a major section of this? Just.
As always, thank you bearing with me.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
And I'll
at the
see
end.
you
Thank
in the next
Yeah.
video.
Right.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon. Patreon in the description. Use my code comedy is wrong 20 for 20% off your first 3 orders of gamer subs.
That's beautiful. I actually wrote it for me.
Oh, okay. Thank you bearing with me. Thank you, me bearing with me.
Yeah, that's. Let's see.
Thank me bearing with me. I think you can just say thank you bearing with me.
Yeah, and this entire video just get edited down to one comment.
Is that Darude Sandstorm? Thank you bearing with me. There you go. Comedy's wrong. And then we do it like an EDM remix.
Okay. Hey, was this part okay last time? So what sorts of flaws were we thinking about
Part
to begin
2,
with? Arrogance.
the flaws, or the fuck up fairy visits again. I can't imagine how you get better than the fuck up fairy visits again. Thank you bearing with me.
Oh, no, there's 3 sentences that could probably describe this. The 3 sentences being...
I can think of 2.
The fuck up fairy visits again.
Mm-hmm.
We invited it. Thank you for bearing with me.
You put in a few extra words in that one.
All comedians do is examine the flaws of people.
Themselves, their parents, their doctor, their podiatrist, the woman on the street, the grocer, their hairdresser, their dog.